This is the #1 most misused term in the wavy curly hair community. Hey there guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you're here. Today, as you may have guessed from the title, we are talking all about the #1 misused term in the wavy curly hair community. Full disclosure, I have totally misused this term myself. We are talking about hygral fatigue. Gasp! The infamous, the treacherous, the terrible hygral fatigue. Now, I'm assuming that if you clicked on this video, you have some prior knowledge of what this is. However, if you have no prior knowledge of this thing called protein moisture balance, I do have some videos available on that subject for you. So if hygral fatigue is a brand new term to you, we are gonna go into it in depth in this video, but you do kind of need a background knowledge of protein moisture balance. That being said, why don't you go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already? And click that notification bell so we can hang out some more and talk all things wavy curly hair and wavy curly hair science.
It's alive!
Let's define terms so that we are all on the same page. What is over moisturized hair? Well, it looks like this on me. Today, my hair is pretty balanced. It feels pretty good. This is what my hair looks like when it's over moisturized. It's sad, it's limp, and it's frizzy. I scrunched out the crunch and my hair began to fall and droop and sag so quickly. And guess what? It was using products that had previously worked well for me, that my hair had held its shape, it had not fallen, it had not gotten limp and frizzy quickly at all. So products that previously worked, all of a sudden stopped working for me and started doing this. Another thing with over moisturized hair is that it will feel damp when it really should be dry. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean you can grab your hair into 2 pigtails and it will feel cold, clammy, a bit like Play-Doh, even a little bit squishy to the touch when it really should be dry. Like you washed your hair at 7 a.m. the previous morning and now it's 6 p.m. on the following day and your hair feels damp. A bit like Play-Doh. This is over moisturized hair. How do you get over moisturized hair? Honestly, it's a very common thing when people start embracing their waves and curls. Wavy curly hair, as a general rule, tends to be drier than our straight-haired counterparts. And therefore, when we use products that are more moisturizing to the hair, we see better results. Our hair is happier. It's better for our hair health. Most people start off by eliminating sulfates, silicones, and drying alcohols. We start eliminating a bunch of drying, damaging practices from our hair care routine, like blow frying our hair, flat ironing our hair, the use of terry cloth towels, excessive brushing, excessive washing. We start really nurturing and babying our hair. And guess what? A lot of products that are sulfate, silicone, and drying alcohol free are inherently very nourishing and moisturizing to the hair. It just plops you into that category of hydrating products. Another thing that will absolutely 100% guaranteed lead you to over moisturized hair is deep conditioning too often and too long. Now, this is a little bit unfair because it varies from person to person to person to person. When I first started this whole process, I saw and heard people talking about how deep conditioning once a week was it. That is the pinnacle of hair care. Like the best thing you could do for your hair is to deep condition it once a week with heat. Be thorough, be diligent, and you will get your best results. So guess what? I started deep conditioning my hair once a week with heat religiously, and it took 4 months before my hair wound up being over moisturized. So if I deep conditioned once a week for 4 months, I deep conditioned my hair 16 times with heat before I over moisturized it. And I was washing my hair either every day or every other day because I was really having a lot of fun trying to practice and style my hair and try out all the products and do all the things. It happens sometimes when you embrace your waves and curls. You get a little excited, okay? Now, for some people, deep conditioning once a week from here to eternity is the absolute best thing for their hair health. But I fall into a category of people that do way better deep conditioning their hair once a quarter, once every 2 months or so, maybe once a month. That is what I need to do in order to keep my hair very, very happy and balanced and healthy. It all depends on your hair type and your hair's needs. What works for one person may not work for you. The last thing you can do that will 100% serve you up a plate of heaping, steaming, over moisturized hair is avoiding all protein in all your hair care products at all costs. If you use protein-free products religiously, there's a good chance that you will over moisturize your hair. Don't worry, it happens. Nearly everybody who starts wearing their waves and curls will over moisturize their hair at some point. Now that we've defined over moisturized hair, what is hygral fatigue? Hygral fatigue is several steps down the line of the journey of over moisturizing your hair. Over moisturizing your hair and hygral fatigue are kind of two distinct things. They're two different things, but people oftentimes will use the term hygral fatigue when their hair is just over moisturized. Herein comes the big misuse of the term hygral fatigue. Everybody says, my hair is in hygral fatigue, when really their hair is just kind of over moisturized a little bit. Hygral fatigue is actual damage to the hair cuticle due to chronic and excessive over moisturization of the hair. Before I sat down and filmed this video, I thought long and hard of the best analogy I could think of possible to illustrate what actual hygral fatigue is. And this is what I came up with. Comment down below if you think this is a good analogy. You have a garden hose that is sat out in your backyard. It's weather beaten. It's kind of dried out. It's kind of cracked a little bit. And you think the best way to revive your hose, to rehydrate your hose, is to hook it up to the fire hydrant out front in your yard. I'm pretty sure that's illegal to hook up to a fire hydrant, but let's just say you did. And you've got your little nozzle sprayer on there. It's like tamped down, locked in, sealed up, and you turn on the fire hydrant full force. What's gonna happen to that dry, cracked hose? You're gonna watch it fill up with water and then begin to swell. Those cracks in the hose are gonna get wider and wider, and then all of a sudden, it's gonna burst. This is what hygral fatigue is. Here is an image I found on the internet showing the progression so well. You can see that the first strand of hair is really smooth. It's laying down flat. The next one, there's some swelling in the hair, and then there's a hole in the hair, and then it's frayed. This is a really good visual example of what hygral fatigue is. This is when you shove so much moisture into the hair that the hair swells and expands beyond what it's meant to do naturally every time it gets wet and it dries, to the point that you have damaged the hair cuticle, making the hair higher porosity. This is rare, but it does happen, and it is very, very, very bad. You've damaged your hair because you've shoved too much water into it, too much moisture into it. What does hygral fatigue actually feel and look like? Your hair will feel dry, rough, frizzy, and dull. Yes, I know that this is the exact same symptoms of hair that is moisture deficient. And oftentimes people will have been deep conditioning their hair, they're using all of these nourishing products, and their hair just keeps getting drier and frizzier, leading them to deep condition more, thinking that their hair is dry and needs more moisture, when in fact it's the excessive moisture that is causing their hair to dry out. Why does your hair feel rough, dry, frizzy, and dull when it's in hygral fatigue? Because you have damaged that hair cuticle and all the water is pouring out of your water hose from every crack. It can't hold moisture in at all anymore. Another dead giveaway of hygral fatigue, because I know that the dry, dull, frizzy kind of also looks like hair that just needs more moisture. Another dead giveaway that it's actually hygral fatigue is that when you get in the shower and you get your hair wet and you go to wash it, it feels very, very, very weird. It feels gummy, mushy, and extremely elastic. Like if you just pulled on it a little bit, it was going to stretch and stretch and stretch and snap and break and fall out of your hair and fall out of your head. That is hygral fatigue. Keep in mind that all hair, even the healthiest hair, becomes more elastic when it's wet. So if your hair is a little bit more elastic when you get it wet, please don't freak out and think your hair is in hygral fatigue. That's normal. I'm talking extreme stretch. What I think of is some videos I've seen of girls in quarantine who bleached their hair like 4 times in one day, and the way their hair looks, it's just barely touching it, and it's gummy and not the same texture as normal hair, and it's just pulling and falling out. It's that kind of feeling that is an indicator of hygral fatigue. What can you do to prevent moisture overload that leads to eventual hygral fatigue? First off, it's knowing when to stop pouring the moisture to your hair. It's not always true that a little is good, so more must be better. You can have too much of a good thing. Too much moisture can, in fact, be bad for the hair and not good for the hair. Do not deep condition for longer than the recommended time on the packaging. Especially, please, do not deep condition overnight. There is no need to deep condition overnight. The effectiveness, the benefits that you were receiving from your deep conditioner will stop after a certain point, and leaving it on for 10 more hours will not increase the benefit of your deep conditioner. There's only so far your deep conditioner can penetrate into your hair. 10 plus hours is not going to make it work more or more better. It will just simply overhydrate the hair. Another thing you can do is to use products that contain protein. I personally like using regular protein treatments for my hair. My hair is fine. It tends to want more protein for more structure. Even though my hair is incredibly low porosity, it still wants protein. Some of my favorite, all-time favorite, y'all are probably sick of hearing me talk about this if you've been hanging out with me for a little while, the Curl Junkie Repair Me. There's a reason I've been doing this for so long. I have tried so many different products. There's a reason I keep talking about this. It's one of my favorite protein treatments out there. Why is it an actual protein treatment? It contains hydrolyzed protein in the first 5 ingredients on the ingredients label. If a product claims to be a protein treatment and there's not a hydrolyzed protein in the first 5 ingredients, that product is mismarketed. It's not a protein treatment. It's just a product that contains protein. All right, I'll step off my soapbox now. Another product that I really love that is a balanced protein product is the multitasking conditioner from Curlsmith. I also have recently started really enjoying this product. I don't want to mispronounce the name. I believe it's MISUSED, but the protein moisture deep conditioner is very nice. That tends to be where I reach for protein in my products. I find that when I use products that contain lots of protein as a styler, AKA a gel, I don't get the results that I'm looking for on wash day. Protein heavy gels tend to just flash dry my hair. It's unfortunate, but that is what I have noticed personally. There are some people that swear by using gels that contain lots of protein in order to keep the hair from becoming over moisturized. You are welcome to try it. Theoretically, products that are left on the hair will give your hair more of a protein benefit than products that you rinse out. Lastly, something that works very well to prevent your hair from becoming over moisturized is to use an oil as your pre-poo. I love using an oil to detangle my hair the night before wash day. The longer you go in between wash days, the more tangled your hair seems to get. Using an oil to detangle with not only helps those knots just slip right out, but it also helps lubricate that hair cuticle. It kind of seals the hair cuticle and keeps the hair from absorbing too much moisture. This works great on hair that is already kind of maybe a little bit damaged from too much moisture. It's good for damaged hair, period, because higher porosity hair tends to soak up way more water than hair that is very low porosity. So using an oil as a pre-poo the night before you wash, or even right before you jump in the shower. I don't know what my printer's doing. May I help you? Anyway, using an oil before you wash your hair is a great way to prevent your hair from absorbing more water than it should. The last question that I have been asked so many times, and I cannot wait, I'm so excited. I sure hope you've stuck around to this far in the video, because this is the best piece of information that I can give you in this video. The number one question that I get asked is, can washing your hair every day automatically cause hygral fatigue? No! No, 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 no. Not necessarily. Not automatically. You can if you try really hard. Yes, you can cause hygral fatigue by washing your hair every day. This would mean that you are using sulfate-free, silicone-free, drying alcohol-free products that are all protein-free. You are not drying your hair in any way, AKA you're like air drying all day, which is going to greatly prolong the amount of time that your hair is soaking wet. You're using highly occlusive moisturizing gels that really hold in the water and never let the water evaporate out of your hair. Yeah. If you do that every single day, you could probably cause hygral fatigue by daily washing. But even still, I haven't seen anybody cause hygral fatigue on their hair by doing that. The few instances that I have seen a true case of hygral fatigue is when people are deep conditioning with heat for prolonged periods of time, multiple times in a month, sometimes even multiple times in a week. That will cause hygral fatigue, but I have yet to run into somebody who has caused hygral fatigue by daily washing. I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure they exist, but I'm saying it's hard to do that. Most people who are washing their hair daily are usually diffusing their hair in some way, shape, or form. They tend to be using lighter weight products because they want their hair to go ahead and dry because they're washing it every day. And just because the hair is getting wet and swelling up a little bit and then shrinking down and getting wet and swelling up a little bit and shrinking down every single day, the hair is actually designed to do that naturally. So if you're not excessively filling up the hair shaft with way more moisture than it was designed to handle and then letting it shrink back down, if it's just swelling to its normal stretch and then going back down, you're not going to cause hygral fatigue or damage to the cuticle by getting your hair wet every single day. I've arrived at that conclusion from my personal observations from the time that I have spent reading scientific articles about hair and over moisturized hair and hygral fatigue. So there you go. I hope this video has cleared up any confusion you may have had around hygral fatigue. I hope it's given you some tips, some tricks to keep yourself from pushing it way too far and going into hygral fatigue and damaging your hair. Most people in the wavy curly hair community say they're in hygral fatigue when in fact their hair is just over moisturized. You can fix over moisturized hair by just using some protein in your products, using a pre-poo, and deep conditioning your hair less. As always, I hope you are having an absolutely fantastic day, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.